Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport. The Formula Regional Oceania series is getting underway this weekend, and we have another bunch of eager young drivers looking to become stars in the early part of the year. This New Zealand-based series has the New Zealand Grand Prix as part of its calendar, a trophy with a history going back to the Tasman series long ago, and more recently the Toyota Racing series. This championship has been held aloft by the likes of Jack Brabham, Sterling Moss, Lando Norris and Lance Stroll. So there is a big part of motorsport's history at play here. So let's run down the drivers taking part in this year's Formula Regional Oceania and have a look at what they've done in racing and what chance they stand in this championship. Not the best New Zealand field we have ever seen. Several of these drivers I have written off as pretty hopeless in other videos, but maybe they can be the big surprise that kicks off 2025. Make sure you subscribe and let's jump into the video. M2 competition. Let's start with M2 because they usually win. In fact, they've won 9 of the last 11 runnings of this championship. They have by far the strongest, most experienced lineup out of everyone. It is going to be a case of which M2 driver will win the championship, and my pick is Arvid Lindblad. The 17-year-old was a standout in his debut season of Formula 3, taking 4 wins, and if not for a rotten end to the season, where he failed to score in the last 6 races, he would have been a title contender. 4th in the championship was enough to earn him a Formula 2 drive with Campos later this year, and he has to be the top shout for the Formula Regional Oceania Championship. Peruvian driver Matthias Zagazzetta was also in Formula 3 last year, but didn't leave quite the same mark. He's not terrible. Expect him to have a better 2025 with Dams as they enter Formula 3, but his only points finish in 2024 was a podium, and he only finished 25th overall. Michael Shin might provide a much stronger challenge. He finished 4th overall in last year's Formula Regional Oceania, and he was a race winner. He's not a great driver, he doesn't do well over the course of a season, but he took wins in Euro Formula as well in 2024. In fact, 3 of his 4 wins came last year. He was also a regular on the podium in Euro Cup 3, so maybe he's hitting his prime. But Michael Shin has never been all that impressive. He will take a win, I think, but he'll be about 4th again. Nikita Johnson was a rising star in America. It's a little shocking to see him take a sideways step into Europe. He moved to GB3 into 2024 and took 2 wins. He'll be returning to GB3 this year and starts his season off in New Zealand. The 2024 USF Pro 2000 Championship runner-up is decent on his day and definitely knows how to win. He could be up there. The final 2 drivers for M2 are Sebastian Manson, the sole New Zealander in this group of 6 drivers. He was runner-up in Formula Regional Japan last year, so he knows the tracks and he knows the machinery, but he's only 16. Could be a surprise package. He'll be racing in USF Pro 2000 Championship, so he's kind of going for the Callum Hedge route to stardom. And Taiwanese racer Enzo Ye, he has done little of note in 2 years of various Formula 4 championships. So the team that always wins this will probably win this in 2025. Arvid Lindblad, Nikita Johnson and maybe Michael Shin are their main contenders. M-Tech Motorsport. M2 have 6 drivers, but M-Tech have 5 of their own. Josh Pearson has had plenty of success in endurance racing with LMP2 wins in the World Endurance Championship and podiums in the IMSA. He has never been able to convert that success to single-seaters. After 2 years in Indy NXT, he made very little progress and is returning for a 3rd in 2025. I wouldn't expect much more than the midfield for the young American. Another young American racing for M-Tech is Sean Rashid, a very average driver who has been very poor in GB3 for the last couple of years. I'm not expecting much from him. Patrick Herzenroder also races in GB3 and has also done very little of note. But he has at least had a few podiums and usually finishes ahead of Sean Rashid, so that should be the norm in his first attempt at the Formula Regional Oceania. To the best of my knowledge, he has never won a race before. Local lad Zach Schooler has really only had a season of car racing in Formula 4, racing in both the UAE and British F4 series. He is very young and this is definitely a learning experience for him. Same goes for Brazilian Nicolas Monteiro, who has only ever been incredibly mediocre in America and even Brazil. I think he has all the hallmarks of a Brazilian bringing up the rear in this series, much like Lucas Fecari last year, but then again the odd Brazilian has done very well in New Zealand, so maybe he can be the next Igor Fraga. Giles Motorsport. Australian TCR and Supercars champion Will Brown is racing in the Formula Regional Oceania series. looking to emulate another star of supercars, Shane van Gisbergen. Will Brown has also been branching out into NASCAR, and now it looks like he's warming up for the next season of supercars by having a run at the New Zealand Grand Prix. This is an interesting one. Will Brown won the Australian Formula 4 Championship back in 2016, but that was the last time he participated in single-seater racing. Definitely accomplished, but will this be too big a shift for the experienced Australian? It'll be exciting to see how he does. Can't say the same for Tommy Smith. He's not listed to do the full series, so I presume he'll be turning up for the New Zealand Grand Prix, but Tommy Smith just isn't very good. He's had a couple of awful years in Formula 3 and will be heading to America to try his luck in Indy NXT in 2025. He did the first half of the Formula Regional Oceania series last year and only managed one podium, despite being one of the most experienced drivers there. Seeing as he did the full campaign back in 2019, he's just bad, and he's not going to win a race. Something he's only ever done once in his near-decade-long racing career. The other two drivers for Giles, Alex Crosby, a native Kiwi who was surprisingly good last year, finishing 5th overall ahead of more accomplished drivers like Caleb Nartoa and Gerard Shea. He also scored a couple of wins in F4 USA and finished 4th overall there, so he is someone who could definitely cause a massive upset. Keep an eye on Alex Crosby. Barrett Wolff finished behind Crosby in the US F4 series and will be looking to keep up with his local teammate. I don't hold out much hope for him there, but he is also still very young. Kiwi Motorsport. 3 absolute no-hopers for Kiwi Motorsport. Jet Bowling is the best of their drivers, and last we saw he was crashing repeatedly on the streets of Macau. He finished 12th in this series last year, 4th in Formula Regional America, but that's nothing to shout about. I could remove my left buttock and send it to America, and it would claim at least 5th in that series. He could be in with a shout of finishing in the top 10, but only because this is a much weaker field. James Lawley finished 9th in Formula Regional America last year, so he's almost half as good as Jet Bowling. And Nicholas Stazzi has had a decent start to his career, finishing runner-up in the F4 USA and Australia Series of 2024, but the USA Series was lacking in outright numbers, and the Australian Series was hardly a font of top future talent, and he was a long way behind champion James Pizick. So maybe Stazzi will be the best of these drivers, and I don't see him doing much more than the odd appearance in the top 5. Weak lineup for Giles Motorsport. They'd have been better off just grabbing 3 randoms from the local McDonald's. So there are all the drivers and teams taking part in the Formula Regional Oceania Championship in 2025. Arvid Lindblad to win the thing. If Will Brown does the whole thing, he might be up there as well. I think Americans Nikita Johnson and Josh Pearson could be ones to watch as well. Not many New Zealanders in the field, only 3 in fact. There are more Americans than Kiwis racing in the New Zealand-based series. It all gets underway in a couple of days' time, so let me know in the comments who you think will win for Formula Regional Oceania this year. We also have a New Zealand Grand Prix, and that tends to attract a few others for that weekend alone, so it's hard to pick a winner. But out of this bunch, I think Will Brown will emulate Shane van Gisbergen and take the famous Grand Prix trophy home with him to supercars. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the motorsport as the 2025 season gets underway. Thank you for watching and have a good one.